Hey YouTube, it's Serpentine, your guide through the game of life. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Sun in Sidereal Libra, or otherwise known as Sidereal Libra season. So stay tuned for the tea. As always, I like to remind people here that we use sidereal Vedic astrology, which is different than tropical astrology. There is a 23-degree difference. Look it up. And if you want to have a better idea of how this is going to be applying to your chart specifically, I do recommend downloading the app Cosmic Insights. Cosmic Insights, you can plug your birth information in there. You don't need to buy any of the in-app purchases to do the most basic stuff. So give it a download, put your stuff in there if you know your birth time and birthday, and you can find out what house Libra is for you, and you can then understand a bit more in depth as to how this general reading will apply more specifically to a certain domain of your life when you understand what that house is and what it means for your personal experience. And for Sun in Libra, my pre-stream divination says, deep revelations incite a powerful new journey. Remain grounded as intense revelations and a detox of the collective mother wound shake up foundations. A time to ditch jadedness and embark on a new journey within and without as you move on from the past. You are birthing a new life through self-discovery and being a way shower. Embrace your uniqueness and purpose to take a powerful leap into this new story. Have courage to face the intensity head on. Look out for messages. We're going to do a live reading now on twitch.tv/Serpentine Rising, later seen on YouTube, for this period of time, which I should say, actually, we can go quickly to the observatory. This will be from October 16th to November 15th. So we just started it at the time of this recording a couple days ago. As you can see, the glowing star is where Libra is. We also have Mercury there. And the ruler of Libra is in Scorpio, which is Venus. And we just had the Venus in Scorpio reading the other day, and you can find that on my YouTube channel as well. And it's going to be good context for this because anytime you have the ruling planet doing something, it's going to be affecting, the things that are happening in its own sign, in this case, Libra. So when I talk about, these deep revelations, that's something that was really coming through a lot with the Venus and Scorpio reading, because again, Scorpio has a lot to do with secrets, hidden information, and there's a lot at play that is catalyzing an unveiling of said secrets, specifically Saturn and Shatabishak Nakshatra, the veiling star, which veils and unveils information aspecting Venus and Scorpio. And you could argue that Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde is having an impact on Libra, because in Vedic astrology, it is said that you can read retrogrades as if the planet has gone back to the previous sign temporarily, and that would make their double aspect be cast on Libra as well. So you could kind of make the argument that they are having an influence on this situation also. So there is a deep relationship between this Venus and Scorpio and Sidereal Libra season going down right now. And so, again, my readings are all meant to kind of be viewed in overlapping with each other when there's overlapping time frames. And so there are these deep revelations going on, and it's what we then do with that information that's going to kind of be the question here when we talk about Sun in Sidereal Libra, because the Sun is technically debilitated in Libra, which means that we can feel like we're a bit less confident than normal, which doesn't necessarily mean that we have to believe that, but we might just be feeling a little bit like our energy is being split between a lot of different things, or we might just feel like it takes a little bit extra effort to will ourselves to do certain things and stuff like that. But ultimately, there is an element of liberation at play here when we can unhook from our maybe subconscious need to be everything to everyone kind of vibes. And let's get into the reading. For this underlying energy card that comes up, we have Ace of Cups in reverse, And sorry, this person's kind of naked on here. And when I see this card appearing here and I'm talking about Sun in Libra, this can simply be referring to the fact that when Sun goes into Libra, and like I said, it's debilitated, and Sun is like your life force in a certain sense, it can be talking about how you might just be feeling a little bit less energetic, a little bit more depleted, feeling like you're having to spread yourself too thin, like as Bilbo Baggins once said.
I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread.
That's kind of the vibe of this Ace of Cups in reverse situation here. So when I see this card come out here for awareness, we have 3 of Pentacles in reverse. And this can just be talking about feeling like you are not getting adequate enough support in your life to be able to feel like your cup is full. And then also to be able to feel like you have the capacity to hold space for other people and show up and to support other people. And so it kind of feels like some of the vibes that are going to be exacerbated a bit in the collective is the feeling like feeling a bit resource poor due to the fact that you are lacking in energy and structural support for your life, and then other people feeling that as well, because like it's like a ripple effect across the world and all that kind of thing. It can also talk about feeling like you need to overcompromise in relationships. Like when I see this 3 of Pentacles reversed energy, it's kind of like the feeling of being the person in the group project that does everything, and then there are other people in the group project that just aren't pulling their weight kind of vibes. Like it can be talking about a little bit of discord or lack of harmonious cooperation or group efforts kind of feeling a bit fragmented due to the fact that people are just like simply burnt out. Like it's not necessarily a referendum on like what people's actual abilities are or what their value is, but it's really more so simply a matter of like just feeling depleted and needing time to recharge and stuff like that. And I do think that this is a little bit at odds with the vibes that were coming through for the full moon, which is like needing to kind of, and like the recent other readings talking a little bit about needing to be a bit more externalized. So it's like, you know, that the energies are asking you to kind of be out there more and to be doing more things, but simultaneously it's like you feel like you don't have enough fuel, like you don't have enough support in some fashion to keep going. And so that's when it becomes really important to really prioritize and draw upon your spiritual support and to make sure that you're staying on top of your practices and things that you do for yourself, the self-care that you have the ability to show up for within the context of what you're in, you know, like really making sure that, you know, you take the time to meditate in the morning or to do the basic self-care practices that you know you can show up for, and to kind of will yourself into doing that because it will help you in the long run, even if it feels like it's taking up too much time or something like that. And for integration, we have Page of Wands. And this is talking about when you take the time to really reflect on and consider the things that are going to be most important for you to be able to sustain in your foundation without having adequate support. Then I think there will be some pretty good breakthroughs that are coming through, especially if like you're feeling like, if we're talking about this in terms of feeling like, for example, you feel really depleted, but you know that you need to be working on some kind of like significant project to like bring it into form, but you're feeling like you don't have the energy to do so. It's like when you take the opportunity to take a step back and focus on what you can control and to focus on really solidifying your foundation in a way that can help to support you in externalizing your energy more, you'll start to come into some breakthroughs that will be helping to motivate you forward, even if you feel like you are having to kind of like do the most just to kind of like get by, you know what I mean? And I say that because for choice, we have 9 of Wands, and this can talk a lot about feeling just like really beaten down by your life in a certain sense, and needing to really have the courage to show up and continue forward, even if you feel like it's a losing battle, because it's not necessarily that. I think it's just being, that feeling might just be getting exacerbated by the fact that you're running out of steam a little bit. And they're really just talking about like, you know, keep on keeping on, don't give up, because it does feel like there is some nice respite on the other side of all of this. And I think also, you know, like we're going to be seeing a lot go down in the collective during this time with like the election and stuff like that. And I think that it will be causing like some pretty significant rifts in the fabric of this country. And obviously if you're outside the country, it might not affect you as much, but obviously America does have like a pretty big impact on like global affairs and stuff like that. So it may be, you may feel the ripple effects of this to a certain extent. And it may be that, you know, with this 9 of Wands, we're going to be having a lot of people like butting heads. Like this can kind of give like, this almost gives like Civil War vibes, like not gonna lie. But what people don't really get is that like these two like leopards or whatever are staring each other down, and then there's like these bison or whatever over here. And like I think a lot of people think that like they're the leopards, like one side versus the other side. But what they don't realize is that they're actually the prey, like they're actually the bison. And when we see these 2 leopards here, it's like these are like the 2 opposing like parties that are like duking it out for superiority. But in reality, at the end of the day, both of these leopards are going to still prey upon the bison, right? It's a false dichotomy a little bit. It's kind of like maybe we should choose our side, you know, the side of the people instead. But I think a lot of people are just so depleted and exhausted that they don't have the capacity to even like get there in their mind, because like they're just like they're operating on kind of a survival basis right now. But I'm sure we'll get into more when I get into the election prediction thing that I'm going to do like next week or whatever that is. And then for results, we have a really great card, the Star. We love to see it. Again, another somewhat naked person on here. The Star is a card of renewal. It's a card of hope. It's a card of faith. It's a card of like opening up to like miracles and magic and feeling like you have resources beyond the tangible. So I think this is really just going to be a time where we are being asked to persevere through a period of feeling a bit depleted and maybe a little bit less confident, and maybe a little bit like there's a lot of intensity in the air. But between this Page of Wands coming up here and the Star, I do feel like underlying all of this, there's going to be a nice thread of genuine optimism that's going to be helping people make difficult choices under a lot of pressure, to be able to then like anchor this star energy into some concrete form in their life in some fashion. Interestingly, for the animal cards, we had 3 jump out onto the floor, and I always take the jumpers to be pretty significant. For the first one, we have bee. This appeared in reverse. For the second one, we have unicorn. This appeared upright. And then we have phoenix in reverse. Bee can be talking about like, you know, you're working a lot, right? And it kind of feels like there's going to be a need to like try to find that work-life balance in a way. Like again, when we're talking about Libra, we are talking about the scales. And for the goddess card, we actually have Ma'at coming through, who is literally holding these scales which again, sorry, this is like so bright, but she is the Egyptian goddess of truth. She is depicted holding these scales, which is again a very Libra symbol. And there are many ways you can interpret the scales, but I think in this case, it's going to be about making sure that you are finding that right balance between resting and restoring your energy when you can, and applying yourself when you know it's the right time, and to not overwork yourself. And also when we're talking about like with this 3 of Pentacles in reverse and B in reverse, this can be talking about feeling like you need to make some changes in your network circles for some people, because Libra is the original 7th house, which has to do with relationships. And we have Venus, the ruler of Libra, going into Scorpio, which is talking about a lot of deep revelations. And again, we even have the deep revelations thing appearing here as well. And so it may be that new information, especially when we have Unicorn appearing here. Unicorn is the 3rd eye chakra in this deck. So it's like we may be seeing things more clearly around certain relationships in our lives that are asking us to make some changes in who we are associating with. And because again, like with 3 of Pentacles, this can be talking about like work relationships or otherwise like organizations that you might be involved in network wise, groups. Because a lot of times they say, you know, like you are the 8 people or whatever that you hang around with the most, right? So if you're realizing upon like having some reveals come forth, and also being in a process of like reflecting on your own values and how you're embodying those values, that other people are not doing that you are associating with, then it's going to be about trying to move away from certain people and relationships and connections in search of those who are going to be more on your wavelength, so to speak, for some people. With the Phoenix too, it's in reverse, but this is just talking a little bit about how you might be feeling like depleted in your energy reserves, because this is the root chakra card. So when we have the root chakra card kind of appearing in the reversed energy, it's kind of like, you know, this is a time to tend to your nervous system, because you're still in the process of rebirthing yourself. We are in the process of coming into a new form, and this is kind of the part where like the Phoenix is maybe still in the process of transmuting itself from the old version of itself through the ashes into the new version of itself, right? So, and also I say here in the blurb, like a detox of the collective mother wound will shake up foundations. And this is really talking about like the foundational shakeup. And like, this is also talking a little bit about the foundational shakeup. So it's going to be a time to like try to be at home within yourself as solid ground, while the outer reality kind of like recalibrates around you. And trust that with Ma'at appearing here, it says fairness on it. This situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. So like there is an element of this where you just have to kind of like hand it over to God, you know, like with this unicorn here appearing as the 3rd eye. It's like we need to be aware that the things that are coming into our awareness, we can do our part, but at the end of the day, karma is the responsibility of these higher forces, and all we can do is show up and do our own dharma and trust that whoever, you know, when there's like karmic events going on, you know, like that people will be seeing their justice come in, and you won't have to like force it. You'll just have to show up for the process, especially if you're dealing with anything that's like a legal situation. You may be feeling like there might be some issues, you know, with like feeling like you have adequate support, or feeling like you have the capacity to like get justice for a situation. But this is telling you that like, don't sweat the small stuff right now. Like there are things going on beyond what we can really fully apprehend. And I think that the more we awaken our 3rd eye, it's like the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know. I think there's like an element of that at play here as well. For the Sacred Symbols Oracle, we have Transmute appearing here with a snake on it. So again, with, you know, like phoenix, snake. It's like we still are in the middle of this transformation that's ongoing, and it's just good to be gentle with yourself as you shed your old skin, especially it says a time to ditch jadedness and embark on a new journey within and without as you move on from the past. Like, we are still in the process of that, and that's why they're like, you know, keep hope alive, because it's not as dire as it may feel or seem right now. It's just that when you're going through change, it can kind of exacerbate those feelings because you're in like a vulnerable state of like being in between worlds and stuff like that. And then also we have here cosmic midwifery. So again, we're just in this transitionary period, and we're helping to like rebirth our own self. I even said in a previous reading that it's like we're being our own doula, like into our own new life. And like that is very much what this card is talking about. And then again, we have secrecy appearing here. So like there is an element of like secrets are being revealed, but it's also going to be very important to know when to say things and when not to say things. Like I've said this before, but like that's kind of a ongoing vibe right now. So it may be that you are finding things out, you know, through your intuition or through people telling you certain things. Like look out for messages. Like it could be that there are things coming, information that's coming to you through certain means that you need to know that will help to spur your rebirth situation here. And it also might be that, you know, you come into information that you need to kind of keep close to the vest due to mitigating circumstances that like require you to do so, but you'll know if that's for you or not. I think it will have to do with like if it involves like legal stuff and things that need to be revealed at a certain timing and things like that. And for the Sacred Rebels deck, we have Release the Dark Wound, Let Love Live. What's interesting about this card is that it has to do with perfectionism. And when I think about what the blurb said about the mother wound and how that can correlate, like in the last reading I was talking about in Venus and Scorpio, I was talking about the Atlantean timeline healing and how in our current society we're facing a lot of the same issues that Atlantis faced in its downfall and heyday and downfall, and how that's tied in with like the rise of the patriarchy and related things connected to that, and how I was talking a little bit about the mother wound as one of the core wounds that leads to patriarchy. And one of the side effects of patriarchy is philosophies that are narcissistic in nature, such as white supremacy, which is rooted in maladaptive perfectionism, whereby only one race, you know, is like the best one, you know what I mean? And then like everything else is like not perfect and inferior and needs to be eradicated or whatever. And so there's an element of rooting out perfectionism in your own self when you know that it's ultimately just going to serve to deplete you even more. It's like we can strive to do good work, but when we strive to be perfect, it's impossible to achieve, and it can lead to a lot of burnout. And so it may be that certain people are having to face some of their internalized perfectionism and needing to kind of like dial it back a bit so that they can have the time to refuel themselves, because if they keep trying to be perfect, when there's so much like there's not enough to go around, like there's not enough fuel to really fully actualize that. It's like we just have to trust that showing up and doing our best earnestly without forcing ourselves to a standard that is unattainable with what we have is you know, not the right move. So sometimes we're forced into these periods not because of a punishment, but because it's like helping to trigger these things that are latent and buried in our subconscious and have them come to the surface so that we can really fully clear them. And I do feel like that's part of why maybe people's foundations are going to be getting shaken up in some way. At the bottoms of the decks, we have two really interesting cards pop up here. From Sacred Symbols, we have Karmic Path with a Saturn on it. Then we have Three of Swords at the bottom of my tarot deck with the Saturn on it also reversed. So it's like this is again referring to like what I was saying earlier with Saturn's aspect. Like retrograde Saturn acts like it's in Capricorn, even though it's in Aquarius. When its planet's retrograde, it kind of acts like it's in the sign previous, which means that its 10th special aspect will be on Libra. So there's an element of Saturn's aspect at play, having us release a lot of grief in our heart chakra and be able to like shed some, grief, heartbreak, betrayal, just like sad vibes, so that we can open up to a better future. This can be talking about, really anything. I think this can be one of those things where you want to go and look and see where Libra is for you in your chart and kind of understand how that's manifesting. Like for me personally, Libra is my 4th house of home, and like this is the year that I became homeless and I don't know where I'm going to be and all that kind of thing, so it's like there's an element of like getting some more clearing done around like my housing situation and stuff like that, so your mileage may vary. Then we have here Leap of Faith from my Galactic Heritage deck, which is really great because I even say in the blurb here, embrace your uniqueness and purpose to take a powerful leap into this new story. So like they're really confirming that, we are on the precipice of a brand new adventure. Again, we have the Phoenix appearing here in reverse, but it's like, we're in the process of getting it to this upright position of our rebirth. And that's also coming through strong for the new moon in Swati Libra, which will be another video coming up that will be really tied in with all of this. And we also had those vibes come in with the full moon in Ashwini that we just had a couple days ago, earlier this week, and will be kind of in the lead up to a lot of this new moon energy as well. So the new Leap of Faith, like Fool vibes are definitely in the air, even if you are feeling like you're still kind of like tending to your wounds a little bit. Lastly, we have Itzel, Medicine Woman. You are a channel for divine healing power, and Lizard in reverse. So this is a great opportunity for people to really transmute, again, with this like 3 of Swords in reverse and the, transmute card here and everything. And like the Phoenix, again, rising from the ashes. Like this is the time to really channel a lot of this alchemy into creativity and creative projects that are going to be inspiring you, especially when we have this Page of Wands appearing here in integration, and the Star talking about hope and faith. Like there's definitely an element of like, the power is within you to like turn the lemons into lemonade and catalyze a really powerful brand new chapter for yourself, where you're going to be free of a lot of the old cycles and karmas that have been plaguing you in the past. Yeah, so that's what I have for you for Sun in Libra. If this reading resonated with you, my books are open for private sessions. You can find me over at mythichearts.com. I would love to connect with you and help you level up to your highest destiny timeline. And also, I'm still growing my YouTube channel, so please do like, share, subscribe, comment. I am very much appreciative of anyone who helps me in my little baby channel growing time over here. Also, I go live on Twitch 3 times a week, twitch.tv/Serpentine Rising. You can find me giving these readings live and catch them before they land on YouTube. And yeah, you can find me on IG at serpentine.rising, TikTok at serpentine.rising, and on X at Time Priestess. I will be back for the Mars and Cancer stream on Monday. So if you're seeing this before then, you can tune in. So until next time, I'm Serpentine, your guide through the game of life, and may your heart lead on the path of destiny. Peace.